Welcome to this month's Okaloosa Eye on Crime. We have a jam-packed show which we're going to feature some unsolved murders, some enhanced rewards in some of those cases, and much more. So let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, first up, we have an enhanced reward of up to $9,500 in a 2015 murder case. On June 24th of 2015, 39-year-old Jimmy Lee Dodd was shot and killed outside his home in Wright, and that shooting took place around 5:30 in the morning. Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers is offering a reward of up to $3,000 for information that leads to the identification and arrest of the person or persons responsible.
Of course, you can call anonymously at 863-TIPS. You can go to the website at emeraldcoastcrimestoppers.com. And of course, you can also use the P3-TIPS mobile app, but you do have to contact Crime Stoppers first in order to be eligible for a cash reward.
And in addition to that money, the Florida Association of Crime Stoppers, in partnership with the Florida Office of Attorney General, is offering an enhanced reward of up to $6,500. Now, that's in addition to the $3,000, but again, that tip must come through the Crime Stoppers program to be eligible for those additional monies. And here's another case with a reward enhanced up to $8,000, and it's for a 1999 homicide. The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office continues to hope for a break in the disappearance and murder of Lori Kim Clements Ball that happened back on June 10th of 1999. Kim disappeared from a home she was cleaning on Destin's Holiday Isle, and then 2 days later, her body was found in a swampy area off County Road 393 in South Walton.
Yes, and investigators continue to sift through the evidence and look at new ways to analyze it with the FBI and FDLE. Now, in the ongoing attempt to bring her killer to justice, the Florida Sheriff's Association Criminal Apprehension Assistance Program is adding an additional $5,000 to any Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers reward of possibly $3,000. So that's a total of $8,000 if anybody can give us some new information that might help break that case.
Another big one in this next unsolved case, the Walton County Sheriff's Office is continuing to investigate a shooting that left a man dead on the evening of February 27th of this year. Just before midnight, Walton deputies responded to the Surf Hut restaurant on Scenic Highway 98, and that was after getting a 911 call. When they got there, they found an employee near his vehicle with a fatal gunshot wound.
And the suspect vehicle is described as a full-size, dark-colored SUV, possibly gray or blue. If anybody has any information about that homicide, you can contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers anonymously, one of the 3 simple and secure methods that we offer.
So many big cases in this show. The next fatal shooting we're going to cover happened March 20th on Vincent Lane in Okaloosa County. 48-year-old Ernest Riggs of Fort Walton Beach was gunned down in his truck around 7 p.m. that night, and the OCSO has these photos of a suspect in the case.
Now, some residents in the area told investigators this man had been walking around for an hour or more in the vicinity just before the shooting took place. 2 workers who had been in the work truck with Riggs fled the scene following the shooting, and 2 stayed. Now, Riggs was reportedly in the area with the work crew because someone was asking about a bid on some concrete work.
So any information at all, please contact the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office or Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers in that case.
And yet another big case investigators are turning to the public for information on. Now, this one is involving a Defuniak Springs shooting that left a mother of 2 paralyzed from the chest down, which we first talked about last month.
Yeah, it's a super sad case. This first 911 call on this one came in January 10th around 8 p.m. A caller said they'd heard gunfire in the area of Fairfield Drive and Highway 90, and when Walton County Sheriff's Office deputies arrived, they found the car with numerous bullet holes and a victim inside.
A witness who saw this happen was unable to get a make and model of the shooter's vehicle. Now, crime scene techs did find shell casings and bullet fragments stretching 0.2 of a mile. Now, this is another case that is offering an enhanced reward from the Florida Sheriff's Association Criminal Apprehension Assistance Program. So in addition to the $3,000 Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers is offering, they've chipped in another $5,000, bringing the total of this one also to $8,000.
And now wrapping up this string of high-profile cases that we're looking for help on, back on November 20th around 2 p.m., a Crestview man was found in a pool of blood at 107 Marimba Street in Florosa. 35-year-old Deshaun Frazier had been shot inside the trailer, and he was discovered by the resident.
Now, anybody who may have seen any unusual activity in that area during that time frame or have any information on who may be responsible for killing Deshaun Frazier, of course, you can contact the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office or Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers, again, 863-TIPS, emeraldcoastcrimestoppers.com, or the P3-TIPS mobile app.
And of course, local law enforcement agencies are working tirelessly on all these cases, trying to solve them, and they could use a break. If you have any information that could be of help, please don't hesitate to contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers or contact the local law enforcement agency, because they're still searching for justice for these victims.
A young Hurlburt Field airman new to the area back in 1983 suffered a horrific sexual battery inside her West Okaloosa County apartment. Now today, thanks to DNA and the work of Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office investigator Kelly Henderson, the FDLE, and the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, a suspect is in custody and the victim now knows his name.
In June of 1983, she had gone to bed and was awoken by around 2 o'clock in the morning by an individual she did not know. The male had gotten a pillowcase from a nearby linen closet and placed it over her head, alluded to the fact there was other people in the room and that he was just there to pick up furniture. He then forcibly raped the victim and threatened that if she did make any noises as he was leaving, that he would shoot her and or his friends would. She never heard any other voices and never saw a weapon, but was then very fearful for her life.
What was her reaction? Can you?
At first, she paused. She had thought that she had closure on the case, and as we were talking, it was evident that she didn't. She was able to tell me what happened verbatim. It was very emotional and was more than willing to pursue this matter. He has been arrested in Las Vegas on our warrant. He is still currently in that area and has local charges to handle before he's extradited, but as soon as he handles those local charges, he'll be extradited to our county. It's very rewarding, and I did not realize how rewarding it was until I talked to the victim and reached out to her and felt her emotion through the phone. I haven't even met her in person yet. But to hear her emotion and gratitude for us continuing to work this case was just amazing.
So a lot going on, and now we're going to move to our first case of fugitives that are still wanted, and this is as of today's taping date of April 8th, and you can earn a cash reward on these as well if you have information that leads to the arrest of any of these individuals. And again, you never have to give your name.
That's right, and first up is a new face to the show. That's Gage Tyler Godwin. He's 21 years old. He's wanted for lewd and lascivious behavior with a victim between 12 to 16, as well as violation of probation for possession of controlled substance. He was last known to live on Carimo Drive up in Crestview.
The Crestview PD is also looking for Rashim Ahmad Ham, wanted for domestic violence battery by strangulation. He was last known to live on Squirrel Haven Road in Defuniak Springs.
And some good news, since our last show, we have located Jesse James Dudek.
Still looking, though, for Tanya Denise Curry. She's wanted for the sale of cocaine and last known to live on Colonial Drive in Fort Walton Beach.
And Okaloosa deputies are still searching for 30-year-old Joseph Jamel Davenport for fleeing and eluding law enforcement with disregard for safety to persons or property, last known to live on Allen Drive in Fort Walton Beach.
Quite a list here for Brennan Shane Dickinson, wanted for burglary, criminal mischief, grand theft of a firearm, and dealing in stolen property.
Next up is Donald Joe Mitchell. He's 68. He's wanted for DUI as well as driving while license suspended or revoked, and he was last known to live in Navarre.
John Arthur McCarthy is up next on our list. He's wanted for violating probation on a charge of worthless checks.
And 50-year-old Tad Keith Bowers is being sought for violation of probation on the original charge of child neglect.
James Ryan Knudsen is wanted for use of a two-way communication device to facilitate a felony, usually a cell phone, and smuggling contraband into a detention facility. The last known address was in Pensacola.
And moving over to Walton County now, they're searching for 29-year-old Robert Wayne Maxwell for threats, extortion, and cyberstalking, another one that last known address in Pensacola.
And Tiffany Nicole Key is wanted for larceny, so take a look at her picture. Contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers if you have any information on her whereabouts.
29-year-old Anthony Michael Fraudley, he's being sought for violation of probation for grand theft, trafficking in stolen property, and providing false information to a pawnbroker, last known to live in Fort Walton Beach.
And unfortunately, we don't have a picture for this one. It's 29-year-old Brandon Dalton West, and he's wanted for sexual assault.
But we do have a photo here of Alyssa Victoria Hibberts. She's wanted for violation of probation for child neglect and possession of cocaine.
Cheyenne Lee Gentry, wanted for violation of probation for possession of methamphetamine, last known to live on Oak Terrace Drive in Crestview.
Wrapping up our first list is James Clinton Brinkley Jr. He's 62. He's wanted for violation of probation for battery, last known to live in Pensacola.
Switching gears here, numerous Okaloosa residents have fallen victim to Casanova con artists and what's commonly called romance or sweetheart scams. Now, we've got another segment coming up of Okaloosa County Scam Spotters, and our crime prevention person Ashley Bailey, along with investigator Mike Kruger, are going to talk about the ploys used to build that false online trust that people use to try and part you from your cash.
This month on Scam Spotters, we're going to talk about the sweetheart scam or romance scams as they're called.
These are Casanovas. These are con men, and they're good at what they do.
Or con women.
Or con women, yes, that's true.
And we're going to talk about this because unfortunately here in Okaloosa County, we've had some victims recently.
Especially since COVID happened last year, we're seeing a lot more of these lonely heart scams because people reach out on these dating websites. And what we're seeing is they'll start off on the dating website, and this person's going to lure them away from that website by getting them to go to another platform, either straight email or a WhatsApp, some type of application where they can kind of, it's not being monitored or seen by the dating website.
Absolutely, and I know a couple older adults who started out even on Facebook and Instagram and had friend requests or conversations with people that they normally wouldn't.
That person's going to talk to you in ways that you're wanting, that you're needing. They're going to try to get you to confide in them. They're going to confide in you, give you ideas that you're part of their world, and that you rely on them and they rely on you. That's what these scammers are looking for. They want to isolate you from your friends and family and your trusted loved ones, and then they're going to want to start parting you from your money or using your good credit to move money through your account so they can get it.
So, I think they make up a variety of stories and reasons. Usually something traumatic has happened, a life happens, traumatic moment, where now they need your money.
Another thing that we see with the military scam, romance scam, is that they steal a picture from Facebook of a military member that may even be married or have a girlfriend, but then they take on that identity and they make the person that they're now having a romantic interest with believe that they are that person.
Don't accept friend requests on Facebook from people that you really don't know. Don't give anybody your money.
Sheriff Eric Aden recently wrapped up his series of visits to Okaloosa County high schools, where he focused on connecting with students and welcoming an open dialogue to boost understanding and community connections.
And what was kind of neat was during these get-togethers, he opted to use an app, and that's so students who might want to ask some tough questions about law enforcement could do so anonymously and then get their straight answers right from their new sheriff.
It just really dawned on me that one of the most important and critical assets we have are probably not getting a voice and getting to talk to law enforcement one-on-one other than their school resource officers. So I wanted to go talk to them about transparency and the level of service that their public safety, not only the sheriff's office, but the municipalities in our county offer them. And also the recourse if they have a problem with law enforcement, as far as the level of accountability we have in law enforcement. There's going to be people that don't like that we give them a ticket. There's going to be people that don't like that we take them to jail or their family member to jail. But if you feel that you were wronged or a family member's wrong, there's a recourse for you. We demand professionalism. So if you were not treated professionally, you have the ability to come get a copy of your report and then pull the body-worn camera. Everything we do is public record. You can pull our body-worn camera, you can watch what happened on scene. So those were some of the things I wanted to accomplish. And then lastly, and probably most importantly, I wanted to have open dialogue. I used an app versus a hand-raising system because I wanted them to be anonymous. I wanted them to feel like they could have true autonomy when they asked the questions to me. And I said, you know, it's your time to talk to the sheriff, and whether it's brutally honesty, we'll talk about, you know, police brutality, racism in law enforcement, you know, whether it be even just an opportunity for employment with law enforcement, whether it be medical marijuana versus true legalized marijuana, all the different things that they may have questions on that they have the opportunity to ask their sheriff about it. So we had great responses, really good informed questions, and we had some open dialogue at every one of the venues that we went to, and every principal opened their doors to us, and it was an incredible opportunity. And I think the kids took a lot away from it, to know that there was transparency and a high level of service that we require our deputies to offer them. I left there very inspired. I will tell you the overall feeling was a positive feel. I was surprised at the level of interaction and actually interest in coming into law enforcement. I thought it would be the opposite. So I actually was pleasantly surprised at that.
And let's get down to our second list of wanted fugitives. Remember, as of today's taping date, April 8th, 2021. So first up on this list, Joseph Lee Fairchild. He's 34. He's being sought for violation of probation for aggravated assault.
Ramisha Rebecca Hatcher is wanted for VOP for grand theft.
Next is being sought for fraud, and that is David Allen Bobbitt.
Also looking for Regina Lynn Daniels. Daniels is wanted for VOP for possession of methamphetamine and last known to live on Hudson Drive in Crestview.
And Clayton McCree Copeland, he's been on here for a while. He's 50 years old. He's wanted for violation of probation for providing false information to a pawnbroker, as well as grand theft of a motor vehicle, last known to live in Destin.
And more wanted VOP for possession of meth and also driving with a license that's been suspended or revoked, and that's Jerry Daniel Beaver, last known to live on Boyce Drive in Shalimar.
37-year-old Coretta LaDon James, she was last known to live on Wilson Street in Crestview. She's wanted for failure to appear for grand theft as well as fraud.
Walton County Sheriff's Office is looking for Devin Earl Jordan. Jordan's wanted for felony violation of probation, and last known address was in Defuniak Springs.
And Okaloosa deputies are still searching for 46-year-old Leon Leslie Chandler. He's being sought for violation of probation for driving while license suspended and revoked and possession of a weapon or ammo by a convicted felon. He was last known to live on Ashley Lane over in Fort Walton Beach.
Another one out of Walton County. The Sheriff's Office there has 2 active warrants stemming from 2 cases of burglary during a state of emergency as well as grand theft. That's for Gregory Ray Long, who was last known to have an address on Strange Road in Defuniak Springs.
Another new addition to this month's show, that's 25-year-old Brian J. Valenzuela Castille. Hopefully I said that correctly. He's being sought for failure to appear for lewd behavior, victim 12 to 14, last known to live on Tyner Street in Fort Walton Beach.
And take a look at Blake Elliott Gundred. Blake is wanted for VOP for grand theft, trafficking in stolen property, and providing false information to a pawnbroker.
Contact Crime Stoppers if you know where 34-year-old Joshua Alexander Bates might be hiding. He's wanted for uttering forged instrument and violation of probation for driving while license suspended or revoked, as well as possession of drug paraphernalia, last known to live on Alabama Avenue in Fort Walton Beach.
And law enforcement is still looking for Anjali Rochelle Johnson because she's wanted for aggravated battery and last known to live on Mixon Road in Defuniak Springs.
Next up is William George Riding Jr. He's 38 and he's being sought for counterfeiting.
And then we have 41-year-old Michelle Renee Riding, wanted for felony violation of probation.
Choctaw SROs Duran and Hooks were interviewed by the WUWF radio group about the Choctaw Clothing Closet. Now, the Choctaw Clothing Closet is one of many throughout the Okaloosa County School District.
And if you ever have extra clothing that you no longer use, then please think about the schools nearby. Deputy Duran said when students need clothing, there are no strings attached. They'll make it happen. And if they take any clothes in at Choctaw that they don't need, they obviously will pass them off to another school that could use them.
Now, we are official members of the OCSO K9 Unit Fan Club, and there are a number of new K9s on board, and we will have an upcoming story on the new additions at a later date. But right now, with all our new K9s now on board, it was time to upgrade team photos, with the exception of one team that wasn't able to make it on photo day.
And that one team that is missing is Deputy Jonathan Duenas and K9 Forge. They weren't able to be there, but they're going to be rescheduled, and when they are, we will definitely add them in and share those with you.
Absolutely. Now, next up is our last list of wanted fugitives. We're going to start this one off with Tyler Keith Hicks, who's new to the show. He's 25 years old. He's wanted for fleeing and eluding law enforcement, last known to live in Pensacola.
Really need to track down Christine Chadwick. Unfortunately, we don't have a photo of her. She's wanted for cruelty to an animal and resisting arrest without violence.
Deputies are still searching for 22-year-old Aisha Marie Nathan for failure to appear for vehicle theft, last known to live in Fort Walton Beach.
And Reginald Dwayne Muse has been on our list for a while. He's wanted for VOP on charges of grand theft, burglary, and aggravated stalking.
27-year-old Mary Elizabeth Gibson, she's wanted for violation of probation for leaving the scene of an accident with injuries, last known to live on Silva Drive in Fort Walton Beach.
Contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers if you know the location of Timothy James Howard. Howard's wanted for larceny, resisting an officer in recovery of stolen property, and failure to appear on a fraud charge. Last known address was Bearhead Road in Defuniak Springs.
Our next fugitive is wanted for aggravated battery. That's 36-year-old Sean Curtis Keith.
Dwayne Elliott Shelton, wanted for failure to appear for driving with a license suspended or revoked, resisting arrest, and possession of a controlled substance. Last known address was on Catmore Road in Niceville.
And Okaloosa deputies are still searching for 52-year-old John Monroe Emmerich II for a violation of probation for domestic violence, strangulation, as well as aggravated battery.
And you have to wonder where some of these people have disappeared to. This guy, Alexis Wilmer Mondragon, wanted by the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office for sexual battery, sexual offenses against a child, and lewd and lascivious molestation. Been on our list here for years, but nobody wants to give up on that case. So if you have any information, contact us.
Next up is 28-year-old Daniel Lewis Davis. He's being sought for violation of probation for burglary.
Searching for Craig Edward Bracchetto, wanted for VOP for possession of a controlled substance and providing false information to a pawnbroker.
40-year-old Roderick James Rudderson Jr., who was last known to live on Mooney Road in Fort Walton Beach. He's wanted for possession of synthetic narcotics within 1,000 feet of a school, as well as failure to appear for driving while license suspended or revoked.
Samuel Edward Thomas III, he's wanted for VOP on original charges of providing false info to a pawnbroker, false imprisonment, and grand theft, and was last known to live in Shalimar.
Another new addition this month is 40-year-old Amy Marie Gower. She is wanted for fraud. She was last known to live on Santa Rosa Boulevard out on Okaloosa Island.
Next up from the Walton County Sheriff's Office, James Anthony Williams, wanted for VOP for possession of a controlled substance, possession of marijuana, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
And back to Okaloosa County, that's 44-year-old Tishon Coward Sr. He's being sought for driving while license suspended or revoked, as well as non-payment of child support, last known to live on Scranton Street over in Fort Walton Beach.
Stephen Charles Briley, wanted for VOP for grand theft and uttering a forged instrument. His last known address was in Fort Walton Beach.
And next up is another longtime member to the show. That's Lethea Lynette Garcia. And Garcia swindled a 77-year-old by using a fake letter from charitable organization. Now, she was last known to live in Fort Walton Beach, but of course she's being sought for fraud.
Tony Wayne Poland is on the list for failure to appear for criminal mischief, burglary, and theft. Poland's last known address was in Freeport.
And we don't have a photo for Angel Lewis Trowery, but hopefully somebody knows where he might be. He's being sought by the Crestview Police Department for aggravated stalking, last known to live in Fort Walton Beach.
Do have a pic, however, of Cole Rutland Graininger. He's wanted for VOP for aggravated stalking and burglary.
47-year-old Larry Michael Ivy. He's being sought for failure to appear for fleeing and eluding law enforcement, driving while license suspended or revoked, and vehicle theft.
And wrapping up the list is Jermaine Oliver Jones, 19 years old. Jones is wanted for violation of probation for burglary and grand theft. So contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers if you have any information on Jones' whereabouts. And that is going to wrap up this edition of Okaloosa Eye on Crime.
Thanks for joining us.